Hello everyone, welcome to For His Namesake. We are so glad that you are here. I'm Martina and this is my daughter Valentine, and we are going to talk about a subject that is, I'm sure it's still going on today, because as the world gets worse, I'm sure that this is getting worse, but we haven't been in school in a long time, so we wouldn't know. But it can take place anywhere, and that's intimidation and bullying. I mean, we think of that happening in schools mainly, where it does, but it can also take place, believe it or not, at your place of employment, I would think. Try to think of another place where it can happen. If you can think of another place where it can happen, let us know. But yeah, so we thought we'd talk about that, and we have a couple of Bible verses to give to the bully. So if you are bullying somebody or intimidating someone, then there's some Bible verses for those kind of people. And then we also have Bible verses to share with those who are being bullied. And then we've got some real life examples where we've both been bullied or intimidated. And I'm sure that you all at some point in your life have been bullied or intimidated. Somebody was very, made you feel little or like nothing. You know, where you couldn't stand up for yourself. I would call that kind of intimidation. And bullying is more, more forceful, I would think. It can be kind of dangerous depending on what kind of bullying it is. So I guess I'll start with a scripture here. This one is for the bully. Proverbs 17:5b. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. So I guess God will come and punish that person who is bullying others at some point. And did you want to share the other one for the bully, or you want to? Can you read my writing?
Jeremiah 9:23 and 24. Let not the mighty man glory in his might. Does it continue?
No, that's it. I don't know why it says 23 and 24. But yeah, so the mighty man, I guess he's the one that thinks he's great because he is bullying someone else. Yeah. Okay, and we'll share some of these others about scripture as we go on. But I was just going to share different types of bullying. Believe it or not, there's different types. Being hurtful to someone verbally and physically. Ignoring them. I never would think that would be bullying, but I guess it is. I was looking this up on Google. Cyberbullying, I've heard of that one. Let's see. In class, on the bus, and in your neighborhood or in your own home. That's interesting.
That's true. Like if you have a mean spouse
or a sibling, maybe that even too. Or maybe you're a blended family and you've got stepsisters and stepbrothers, and maybe you all don't get along, and there's one that's bullying everybody. Maybe they're the oldest or the biggest. Who knows? Yeah. Okay. And so Valentine, would you like to share your, she was intimidated by, that's the other thing, not just among students, but from like a teacher to a student. That can happen. I'm sure, I don't know about in today's time, but back in our day, that was very common actually.
Oh, I'm sure it's still going on.
Yeah.
But I was in middle school, and it was my first time being in public school after being homeschooled for a while. So I was already new. And this teacher, it was my math teacher, and he was not a nice man. He never smiled to anybody, and he was even rude on the intercom to other teachers and the staff there. And I was falling behind in class. I was going into the D range, and I never gotten a D before, and I was so distraught and discouraged. And he's not a man that you could just go up to. And I remember one time I had to retake a test because I had failed, and I was giving my test back to him after I'd taken it, and he called my last name loudly and rudely in front of everyone else who was retaking the test. He's like, "You forgot this, do it again," that kind of stuff. So I was intimidated by him, and apparently he intimidated lots of people. I don't know if he still works there anymore. I sure hope
No, he's moved on to another school.
Oh, goodness me. I feel sorry for them then.
I researched him to see where he was at.
He should retire. And on top of that, he was a coach. So you can imagine how mean of a coach he would be, too.
That's what he was called, Coach something. And people would call him by his last name. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a
Poor
lady.
Valentine.
Don't call me by my last name. And on top of that, just be nice to people.
And then embarrass her in front of the whole class.
Yeah.
That's just not right. I'm sure that teachers have a protocol to go by, and I guess he broke that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what not to do with your students.
But thankfully, when I went into the 9th grade, of course, I had a different teacher, and I caught up my grades. So that tells you how much just one person can... What do you get rid of your self-esteem? It can mess up your learning.
Yeah, discourage you from from doing well in school, or even liking school at that point, or even looking forward to going to school, because then you're dreading whatever period that was. Yes. If that was the first period, you can say, yay, this is over with and I can go on with my day. But I don't know, your day may have been ruined by his sour attitude. Goodness. Yeah. Well, I've got a story to share too about where I was actually bullied, and not saying that one is worse than the other. They're both just as bad. That's why we put them together. But before we do that, I thought I'd share some famous quotes by some famous people, or we would share. Valentine, you want to read this one because you thought it was cute?
It's kind of cute. From Abraham Lincoln, he said, "I would rather be a little nobody than to be an evil somebody."
Isn't that cute? That is so cute. This sounds like that belongs in a little children's book, right? It's so sweet. And then I like this one. I've heard this one for years. This one's from Eleanor Roosevelt, and she says, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Now that would probably be more for intimidation, maybe, right?
And he knew that he intimidated people, which is why he got away with it. Now,
you mean the teacher?
The teacher.
Yeah.
Now, I think if someone had stood up to him, like maybe another staff member, then he would have backed down, hopefully.
Yeah, I found it interesting when I did some research on him. The school that he was the coach and the teacher at her school was it was a country school, but it was getting pretty big.
It was
about a 3A school.
Now it's a 4A, I think.
Now it's 4A, but he downsized significantly to I think it's a 1A or 2A school, and I thought, I wonder why. Maybe because like Valentine said, some other people did complain about him being rotten towards the students, and maybe he was just trying to get, the school that he chose was far away from this one, so who knows? Maybe he was kind of like hanging low, kind of going into hiding a little bit. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Okay. Here's one from, I don't know who this is. If you know who this is, I hope it's someone significant, Jeffrey Benjamin, but I like what he says. "You will never reach high," this is now for the bully or the one who's intimidating someone else, "you will never reach higher ground if you are always pushing others down." That almost rhymes. Let's see. I'm trying to think if we had any others. Oh, we were gonna share why people bully. I don't know about intimidation. That could probably be the same thing. But those who bully, they have feelings of insecurity. They may have come from a bad home. They need to have some sort of control because maybe at home someone else is taking control to the next level, like just too much control, like abuse in a way maybe. And so now they're in school and they feel like they can take control and kind of be examples, kind of live like whoever's controlling them or abusing them at home, now they can be the ones to do that in school.
Like vengeance.
Right. Or they have a sense of powerlessness. They're usually depressed, believe it or not. And they deal with anxiety, anger, or jealousy. So this is the bully. That's why they're bullying. They themselves are insecure. So then they try to bring that upon someone else and make them feel insecure. Whether it's by intimidation, like with Valentine's situation, or bullying, where they're really bullying you. I mean, just really being mean.
Name calling.
Right. Or even physical. That's what that happened to me. And my husband's, he can probably leave his story of how he was bullied, both by a teacher, and I don't know if he would call it bully or intimidation, but he can write it in the description box below and kind of tell, if he wants to, about how he was intimidated by a teacher / coach in, I think it was either high school or college, I'm not sure, one of the two, and also just being bullied in general. And I was bullied as well. I was always the outcast student anywhere in school, whether that was elementary or junior high. High school got a little better because then I went to an all-girls boarding school, so things are watched more there, and there's really no room for bullying because there's always somebody watching somebody. So I was not bullied there, thankfully for that. But up until that point, I was, especially around the 5th or 6th grade. There were boys that would be really mean to me. Really, we're talking really mean. I would get off the bus and they would have a paper bag. That was back in the day when you had lunch in paper bags. Believe it or not. But in this case, they didn't put lunch in there. They would put dog fecal matter in there, and they would, tie it up. And then when I get off the bus, they would, slide their window. That was back in the day when we had sliding windows in school buses. I don't know how they're done these days. And they'd slide open the window, and they would say, "Hey, fatso," because they would think I was fat, and I wasn't really that fat. I'd go to my mother and I would ask her, "Am I fat?" And she'd say, "No, you just slouch a lot, so maybe it looks like you're fat. Maybe if you stood up a little bit more and walked around confidently, maybe they wouldn't call you that anymore." But they would just say fatso, ugly, you name it, and then they'd throw that bag at me. And of course, when they did, what happened? The bag would bust open and all the dog poop would go everywhere. It was awful, and I would cry, and I'd have all the stuff all over me, and I'd have to go home and take a bath. It was terrible. They were mean. And other times they would throw rotten eggs at me. I think I'd rather have the rotten eggs any day than dog poop. But either way, they were cruel. That is bullying. And I just took it. I just went, and I would cry, and that make them laugh even more. What a crybaby. And then there would go the school bus, and I'm thinking, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Why didn't the school bus driver know about it? That was a smaller school. There's no excuse. They could have seen what was going on. Anyway, so that went on for years. And I would tell my mother, and she'd say, "Well, do you know who this was?" And "Oh, yes, I know who it was." And that child would just be briefly, brought to the principal's office. And then they come back with a little smirk on their face and say, "I'm out again. Nothing happened to me." It was terrible. So one time several times my mom would say, "You're going to have to beat this. You can't let them stomp all over you like that. I want you to start standing up straight. Feel confident about yourself. Have your head up high. Don't look to the ground." And, excuse me, I've got something in my throat. I don't know where my water went to. But, excuse me. But, yeah, so she just said, and my dad would tell me the same thing. You really need to stand up for yourself. Be strong. Be confident. Tell them you can't treat me that way. Throw back the bag. Whatever you need to do, just fight back some. My dad would say fight back, I think. I think that's what he told me. And my mom would just say, be confident. I tried all those. None of those worked. But then, would you believe, my mom said one day, she said, "Martina, you're not ugly. And don't let them say that, and don't believe what they tell you." And so she would put some makeup on me, and she did my hair, and she said, "Now stand up straight." And she put me in a nice dress, and she said, "Now look at that. Would you say that you're ugly?" And I'd say, "No, wow, I look totally different." And she said, "Exactly. Now you're going to go to school like that tomorrow." So I didn't go to school because I was nervous to do that, but on my graduation night from 8th grade, I did. I had on a beautiful dress. If I can find that picture, I will post it on the community post. And I don't mean to brag, but I looked very lovely. I mean, I think Valentine remembers I had a shimmery, beautiful dress on. I had my hair up in a bun. I had makeup. I looked like someone totally different. And woo, all those boys that were so mean to me, they wanted to sit at my table. We had a dinner table. And they said, "Can I sit next to Martina?" And the teacher would say, "No." Anyway, but ever since then, oh my goodness, they were so nice to me. My mom always told me my mom was a professional model, and she was always beautiful, and she would say, believe it or not, she would say, "If you're beautiful, people will treat you nice." I know that's a terrible thing.
It's actually true, sadly. I witnessed that in high school myself. If someone was pretty, they were treated better than others.
Isn't that awful?
According to what they thought was pretty.
Right.
I thought other girls were pretty, but they didn't think so.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is. Or if you're a cheerleader, you're treated nicely. I don't know. or Miss Popular, I don't know, but either way, I was never Miss Popular in high school or otherwise, but when I graduated from 8th grade, ever since then, they were so nice to me. I find that strange.
Well, it's true. Bullies will continue to bully you if they think that they are hurting you. And if you're upset about it, then they won. So if you're in a situation, I'm not saying do anything physical back. I'm just saying stand up for yourself.
Right.
It's okay. Scriptures talks about that too. It even says if you, Jesus himself said, if you're being persecuted, if you're able, just do something about it. Flee if you have to. And those, if it's in a dangerous situation like cyber bullying can be quite dangerous. So in those cases, then you do need to go. And Jesus does give you permission to go. And other times you just need to be strong. Like it says in 2 Timothy, I think, God gave you a sound mind and courage. You know what verse I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I was just going to say, I don't know why I was thinking about David and Goliath. That he
was a bully.
It was easy that David would feel bullied or intimidated, there's the word I'm looking for, around Goliath. But then he, fought against him and won, right? Yeah. But we do have some scripture here for the person that's being bullied or intimidated. Did you want to read one of these
Matthew
here?
5:44?
Or maybe yeah.
This is Jesus saying, "But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you."
That's interesting. It says love your enemies, and then I was bullied again when I reached high school in 9th grade. We had changed schools, so I was somewhere else, and I didn't love my enemy. I fought back, but I wasn't a born-again Christian at the time, so there was a rough kid, and he would do really mean things like take a needle and stick it close to my eye and say, "If you move, I swear I'm going to put this needle in your eye." And I was terrified of him. My heart was like, and on the bus, and even the driver, she would laugh. She thought that was funny. He would say, "Look, I'm going to go bother Martina again." He was so mean, and he was a huge guy. I don't know why he made fun of me and called me fat when he was fatter than me. Well, anyway, I don't even know what his name was, but I will never forget one time he threw an apple. He was sitting at the back of the bus and he threw an apple at me, and I may have shared this in another video. He threw an apple at me and it hit my head and hurt like the dickens. That hurts like, a hard apple in your head. And you know how the rule says don't get up while the bus is moving? I didn't care. I got up while the bus was moving and I took that apple and I said, "Don't you ever throw that at me again." Bam! And I threw it and it hit him in the face. Oh my goodness. And boom, he went like that, and all his friends laughed, and he said, "Why are y'all laughing at me? That hurt." But oh my goodness, after that, he was so nice to me. "Hi, Martina." And all his bully friends along with him. "Hi. Oh, here's a seat for you right up front. We saved it right for you." So sometimes it helps to fight back. I don't know. I don't understand bullies. If you understand them, write it down in the comments down below. Or if you used to be a bully and you want to share, great. If not, you can send us an email. Or if you were intimidated by a teacher or a coach or a fellow employee or your boss at your job, that can happen too. Believe it or not, the bully boss. I've heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. There's all kinds out there.
Or those who just intimidate you. I had a coworker, and we mentioned that we worked at a university bookstore, and I could just never please her, and she wasn't even my boss, but she would just make me feel so small, and I could never do anything right, and she would say that in front of other customers and students.
Yeah.
She'd say, "What are you doing?"
And she'd actually say your name, Valentine.
Stuff like that. It's like, ugh.
But then she was nice to me. I couldn't figure that out. It's almost like she felt guilty, maybe. I don't know. She'd come to me and kiss and make up, so to speak. I don't know.
Later, when I was about to leave, then she started being nice to me. But she was not one that I need to be friends with anyway, because she was using a lot of bad language. And it's sad that it was a Christian university, and
but behind the scenes,
no one was
they
really
were
Christian.
not. They didn't act Christian.
No, and I doubt that they even were. Some of them.
Yeah, it was. It was not a good situation. Yeah. So I was going to say that like the different types of bullying that are out there. Now, we're not endorsing this film, so don't come back and say, well, you encouraged us to watch this movie. But there's a movie that we have on Prime, and I don't know if it has any bad language in it. I don't know if it does or not, but it's called Rising Above, and I couldn't even tell you the actors or actress's name because they're not that famous. But it's a good movie on cyberbullying. Somebody's being bullied by something that someone shared online, and it went viral, and all because of a jealousy thing. So, but it gives you a good view of how bad it can get just online, because that does go quick. Especially something like on TikTok. And it's just viral, and boom, there it goes. So be careful what you're sharing on social media with others. So it's called Rising Above. If you want to check it out, you can. I don't have any other movies that I can suggest for bullying, but we can just see it in our own lives. We don't have to watch a movie. It just, in our own lives, we've all been bullied, I'm sure, at some point or another. We're intimidated, and so.
And I know we don't have teenagers who watch, but if a teenager happens to come across this video and you see someone bullying somebody, don't stand back and do nothing. Tell a trusted adult. And even if you're in the workforce, and I'm talking to adults here too, like if you see someone bullying, tell your manager, tell a supervisor, somebody.
Right.
Because bullying that gets out of hand, it will get out of hand.
Right.
And it'll just get worse and worse.
Yes. And if it's your own boss that's bullying you, because I've had a supervisor bully me, then you just go to someone higher than them. There's always someone higher than that. Go to the top of the line. I had to go to the president of the place. That's what I had to do. So to complain about a supervisor that was terrible to me, and I've mentioned that in a previous video too. It was someone just yelling at me in front of everybody. It was embarrassing. So yeah. Okay. Well, I think we about covered everything about intimidation and bullying, and it's not a pretty sight. And if you have been bullied or you've been intimidated somehow and you'd like to share, you can do so in the comments. And if not, you can send us an email. We would love to we love hearing from y'all. And Valentine's.
I would say, look to Jesus. He was bullied himself.
Right.
And intimidated constantly by the Pharisees and Sadducees and others who didn't believe him. He was bullied, in his case, to death.
Right. Yeah. Mockery.
Yeah.
People stoning him to death. I mean, you name it. Yeah. So he's already gone before us.
Right.
Been the example of that.
And he paid that price. Yeah. Now, of course, we are supposed to carry our crosses, but at the same time, he does give you, he does give you the option to go when it's dangerous, and when you just are in a situation where you can't, then he says to love your enemies and to pray for them, and that's hard to do.
That's hard.
Really hard.
Yeah.
So you're not alone because Jesus is with you, and just tell someone about it. Tell someone that you can trust. And leave your comments down below. How can we pray for you? Have you been bullied before and you still haven't gotten over the hurt? You're welcome to leave us an email or a comment or any other way that we could pray for you. Yeah. And until then, we hope that you like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And Lord willing, we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.